Welcome to the best Elden Ring Nightreign beginner's guide. Today I'll be showing you the best tips and tricks that are a must know for any beginner in Elden Ring Nightreign. After countless hours diving into Elden Ring Nightreign with my friends over the past month, we've gathered some insights we believe will help you as a beginner. These tips and tricks are the latest and most effective that we have found for tackling the challenge of the night. Now, sit back and relax while we get right into it. One of the most important things to note as a beginner is that each and every single Night Lord has a specific weakness. This weakness is always shown at the start of every expedition in the menu. This is also where you can choose to either play single player or multiplayer. When starting out, I recommend going to the Visual Codex. This is where you see each of the character's stats as well as all the other weapons, relics, or other miscellaneous items like the revive or the different consumables in the game. This is where you can learn what weapon scales with which stat. This is something that can be done to increase your knowledge about weapons and which to use on which character. Next, we have the small shop, in which you can find some goblets, which is connected to the relics, as well as some decent early game relics. In the shop, it uses the currency you gain from fighting and beating Night Lords. The relic system in this game can be very overwhelming for a beginner, but there's no need to focus on it before you have done your first run and maybe even beaten the first boss. As a side note, I don't recommend using the sparring grounds. Instead, I suggest loading into a trio where you learn as you go. As a beginner, I recommend choosing either one of three classes: Wilder, Raider, or Iron Eye. If you don't like to fight up close, Iron Eye is your choice. If you want a balance between mobility and strength, you choose Wilder, and if you just want to bonk, choose Raider. As you load into the map, you'll often see, next to where you land, some small enemies. These enemies should always be killed and get you to your second level. The difference between level 1 and level 2 in Elden Ring Nightreign is massive. So before you go to any other location, you should always clear out the camp of small enemies in front of you and level up at a grace. After clearing out the camp of small enemies, you have either two choices: run directly to a church, which is the small gold church icon on your map, where you find a flask upgrade, or head into a cathedral. Before you start running around, I recommend quickly planning your route, which is the most optimal. You should prioritize getting the outermost things done first, before heading into the center, and afterwards to where the ring is closing. You don't have to do everything on day 1 because the expedition is 3 days long in total. Your goal should be level 7 by day 1 and level 12 by the end of day 2. Do note that the expedition is 3 days long, but the third day is entirely for the Night Lord. Another important part of Elden Ring Nightreign are the Stone Sword keys. These keys can be found in chests in the cathedral or the forts. These Stone Sword keys are used to open the circular things on the map, which is where you gain either a perk or runes. A fort is the structure I am currently running to. The chest can be found on the second floor of the fort, guarded by either a small boss or some knights. This structure is the church, where you add a flask charge. These flask charges are pretty much your health. You can have up to 9 charges depending on which map you're on. You should prioritize getting as many charges as you can on day 1, so you don't have to run around on day 2 as much. Day 2 should be focusing on leveling up instead, especially to the higher levels. Next we have the center castle. The boss in the sewers underneath the center castle leads to a chest with relics in it. Do note that there's a plethora of bosses that can spawn underneath here, but one of them should be avoided until at least level 12, which is called the Bell-Bearing Hunter. This boss does a shit ton of damage, which can one-shot any character even at level 8. At the end of each day, you fight a boss that determines if you make it to day 2 or not. This boss is from a pool of predetermined bosses that you can look up. Each Night Lord has different bosses for day 1 and day 2. Another important aspect of the game is merchants. Each merchant can have a plethora of different items, but there are only 2 different kinds of merchants in the game. The normal ones and the special merchants. The normal ones all have the same items, while the special ones have some extra items as well as relics. The normal merchants can be found around normal structures such as the center castle, forts, or different camps. The special merchants only shows up in 2 different areas, and both of these are special buildings. They can be easily found on the map by a different structure that you're not used to. Besides the center castle, relics can be found from something called a scarab. These are the silver looking dung beetles that you see on the screen. They spawn randomly across the map but can be heard by the specific sound it makes. The sound itself is very specific and can be easily followed. Next, we talk about special weapons effects. Each weapon has a randomized effect, such as jump attack boost, which grants a specific stat boost by just holding that weapon in your inventory. That is why I am running around with 6 weapons, while I can only use 2. These weapon attributes and bonuses is what makes your character especially strong if you can find the right ones. That is why sometimes you pick a bad weapon or a weapon you will not wield just for the special bonus. At the end of day 2, you also fight a boss. For Tricephalus, one of the options is the Fell Omen or Margit/Morgoth from the base Elden Ring game. He's a quite dangerous boss because he has one attack that makes you bleed, which caught me in this attack. Luckily I was playing solo, so my auto revive was used and not the Wending Grace, which is a special item that grants another additional revive besides the one you get for free in solo. If you choose to play solo over trios, you should always buy the Wending Graces from the merchants. You can buy up to 3 Wending Graces from merchants if there's the normal one, the special one, and then the merchant at day 3. You can also get Wending Graces from boss drops, but those are quite rare. At the start of day 3, you fight the Night Lord that you've chosen for that expedition. Gladius or Tricephalus is the first boss of the game, and it is a boss that is needed for you to progress. The boss is weak to holy damage, which you might have noticed that in this run I did not get any holy weapon that is suitable for Raider. I had a sickle, which is a dex weapon, while my character is a strength primarily strength user. I could have used the sickle instead, but I did like 350 more damage with just my weapons, even though they were both fire, which the boss is actually resistant to. So if I had a holy weapon, I could probably have beaten him even faster. Do note that this run has relics on, which you won't at the start of the game, but that won't trouble you at all if you find the right weapons as well as the right perks. At the end of the run, you'll get a screen which shows the map and the path you've taken. After that, you get some relic drops. These are for any character because they're totally random. You also get the currency which is used in the shop, as well as for different outfits for the characters. That's been the recent best and most effective tips and tricks. Thank you. See you around.